extending your generosity and giving us this, platform with its great reach for the Ram Jethmalani Memorial Series. I mean, it's invaluable that you've given us, and so also NewsX. But they're also going to be broadcasting this live tomorrow. So thanks to them as well. Look, there have been very, very important points raised.
Yes.
I myself did not detect some of the, and although I've, given a number of lectures and spoken in Parliament as well about these laws, I myself have not detected some of the flaws that were pointed out today. Both Mr. Raju and Aishwarya Bhatti have rendered, they're invaluable assets to the government, and they've proved it today on the show. Aman Lekhi is Aman Lekhi. He's, one of the most trenchant critiques of every assignment he's given. He brings his, incisiveness and shows up the flaws in the law. As does Amit Desai, a proficient practitioner, cerebral person in the extreme. If you read his articles, you will find out that, he's really analyzed these three laws very well, and we must take his criticism seriously and see how best we can improve these statutes. Just a word, since we're running out of time. These three statutes are a break from the colonial past. And I'll just give you three examples and leave it at that. Aman has made a point, and I respect that point of view. But let me tell you, just give you three examples. And that probably will tell you why this is a break from the colonial era. Let's start with the sedition law. The sedition law has been stayed by the Supreme Court. Why was it stayed by the Supreme Court? Because it was being misused. Why was it being misused? Because the government of the day, right, used to prosecute critics of it on the ground that the section itself said that you can an offense of sedition consists of inciting disaffection against the government of the day. Now, those words were verbiage used by a colonial government to protect itself from its colonial subjects. When you talked about inciting disaffection against the government of the day, you were talking about the colonial masters. Sedition therefore became a bad word, and it was stayed. It was being misused. You criticized the government of the day, and sedition was invoked. Ultimately, it was stayed. So, Aman is wrong to the extent that we should have made a resounding defense. We couldn't make a resounding defense because, in fact, the sedition offense resounded in colonialism. What we did was the government changed. Got rid of the old baggage, including the use of the word sedition. Instead, it said anybody who threatens the sovereignty and integrity of India. Therefore, it's intended to punish subversives, people, secessionists, separatists. Those are the kind of people whom the Act now, contrary to the colonial masters who were trying to protect themselves, we are now talking about the Indian state and not the government of the day. The offense is directed against the Punus, against all subversive abroad. It's against ISI. It's against anybody who tries to undermine the integrity and sovereignty of the state as opposed to the government of the day. That cures that takes care of the reason why the Supreme Court stayed it. Because it was being misused, you could not criticize the government of the day. I'll give you another example. Abetting murder. Very quickly, Arnab, to give you why this is a break from the colonial past. Right? Now, this is abetment. The offense of abetment had this illustration. Right? A in India instigates B, a foreigner in Goa, to commit a murder in Goa. A is guilty of abetting murder. The illustration to the section indicated that Goa was not a part of India. It was a foreign country. This illustration had to go. This was a the Indian Penal Code had not recognized that Goa got independence from the Portuguese in 1961. It was legislative neglect of the worst kind that you allowed in your statute book an illustration which did not recognize that Goa had now been incorporated in India. Third, there were words used, right, in many sections, there were words used like insane, colonial words. When talking about people of unsound mind, insane and idiots. The word idiot has actually been used in the Indian Penal Code to describe people of unsound mind. The Sanhita has given up these pejorative, insulting words. It's used the more compassionate phrase, persons of unsound mind. Otherwise, you had words like idiot, insane, lunatic. That was colonial. So, and finally, Arnab, the fines had gone completely obsolete. You had a maximum fine of 500 rupees for serious offences. Today, there are 81 sections whose fines have been increased because the fines were so negligent that they constituted no deterrent at all. They have now fines ranging up to 10,000 rupees for cases like assault and grievous assault. So there was a lot of colonial baggage. I'm just talking about the Sanhita, which replaced the Indian Penal Code. There is so much more to be said for not just the improvement from the 1898 Criminal Procedure Code, but even the 1973 amendments were totally ineffective. And the present Nyaya Suraksha Sanhita introduces far-reaching changes in even the present code from what the Criminal Procedure Code of 1973 had as its provisions. Finally, it's an act of sagacity, Arnab, that the Indian Evidence Act was left largely untouched. The only provisions that Aman rightly pointed out was to introduce electronic evidence and to lay down in the Evidence Act the rules for its admissibility. That had to be done. It was a necessary exercise. It hadn't been done because obviously the colonials didn't have electronic evidence. We had to incorporate that. That's why it was a colonial era law, because it didn't have the technological changes which modern India does. So all these reasons, these were a break from a colonial past, and where the break was not required, the fundamental principles which underpin our entire legal system have very sagaciously been retained.